Somalia's story is often shown as just war and hunger, a place defined by conflict and hardship in the eyes of the world. But this is only a small part of its real history. There is so much more to Somalia than the headlines suggest. For thousands of years, Somalia was a land of poets, traders, and smart people, a society that did well long before fighting became its main image. Somali poets were celebrated for their wisdom, and traders sailed far and wide, connecting their homeland to distant shores. To understand Somalia, we need to look past the recent troubles and find its old beginnings again. The ruins and artifacts scattered across the land tell stories of a civilization that thrived, innovated, and left a lasting mark on history. Before the warlords, there were strong kingdoms and busy cities, connecting Africa to the rest of the world. Somali ports bustled with merchants from Arabia, Persia, and beyond, making it a true crossroads of cultures and ideas. The Somali people are the inheritors of a culture shaped by sea trade, Islamic learning, and a deep connection to their land. Their traditions, language, and faith have been passed down through generations, shaping a unique identity. Their history is not just about loss, but about bouncing back and being creative. Through art, music, and rebuilding, Somalis have shown a remarkable ability to adapt and thrive even in the face of adversity. This journey will show the Somalia hidden beneath the news headlines, a story of survival, cleverness, and hope. It is a story of people who continue to dream, build, and look forward to a brighter future. Let's start by looking at the old coastal kingdoms that once made Somalia a bridge between continents, and discover the roots of a nation whose true story is waiting to be told. Long before today's country borders, Somalia's coast was a busy place for world trade. The land of Punt, probably in today's Somalia, gave Egypt and the Old World things like incense and gold. Somali traders learned how to use the monsoon winds, trading with Arabia, India, and other places. Cities like Mogadishu and Berbera became places where many different cultures met, full of ships and new ideas. These were not just trading spots, but advanced societies with their own ways of governing and their own culture. Old digs show big mosques and buildings with many floors, proving there was wealth and new ideas. Through these ports, Somalia connected Africa to Asia and Europe, exchanging goods and knowledge. This time created a special Somali identity, open to the world, good at business, and deeply connected to the wider world. For hundreds of years, Somalia was a bridge, not a wall. Islam came to Somalia peacefully, brought by traders and smart people along old paths. The religion brought Somali society together, mixing with local traditions and starting a time of great art and learning. Coastal cities became centers for Islamic studies, bringing in thinkers from all over the Muslim world. Beautiful mosques were built, and poetry became a much-loved art form, keeping history and values alive. Somali poets became respected figures, their poems shaping public talks and who people were. Islamic law provided order and rules, while kingdoms like Adal and Ajuran built advanced states. This golden age left behind a legacy of creativity, learning, and strong institutions. It's a history of order and achievement, often forgotten in today's stories. The Somali spirit of faith and culture continues to this day. In the late 1800s, the arrival of European colonial powers marked a turning point in Somali history. Driven by competition and greed, these foreign nations carved up the Horn of Africa, including Somalia, with little regard for the people who lived there. The land was split and traded like pieces on a chessboard, all for the benefit of distant empires. Britain, Italy, and France drew artificial borders that cut through ancient trade routes, divided families, and broke connections that had lasted for centuries. Entire communities suddenly found themselves separated by invisible lines, forced to adapt to new rulers and unfamiliar laws. But the Somali people did not accept this fate quietly. Resistance flared across the region, most famously under the leadership of Muhammad Abdullah Hassan. For 20 years, his dervish warriors fought a relentless campaign against the British, refusing to surrender their land or their identity. The dervish state became a powerful symbol of Somali defiance and unity, inspiring hope and pride among Somalis everywhere. Their struggle echoed through generations, reminding people of their shared heritage and the strength found in unity. Yet the cost of resistance in colonial wars was devastating. Villages were destroyed, families displaced, and local economies shattered. The scars left behind would shape the destiny of Somalia for decades to come, leaving deep wounds in the national memory. Colonial rule deepened regional divisions, as the British and Italians imposed different systems, languages, and priorities in the territories they controlled. These differences made it harder for Somalis to see themselves as one people, and the seeds of future conflict were sown. The artificial borders and lack of investment in development left the country fragmented and under-resourced. The dream of national unity seemed distant, as Somalis struggled to overcome the legacy of colonial neglect and division. Still, the desire for self-rule and dignity could not be extinguished. Across the land, Somalis organized, protested, and dreamed of a future where they would govern themselves and reclaim their destiny. The colonial era left deep wounds, but it also sparked a burning desire for freedom and self-determination. The struggle for independence became a unifying force, bringing together people from all walks of life. As the colonial period drew to a close, Somalis looked forward with hope, determined to build a nation founded on unity, resilience, and the right to rule themselves. The next chapter would be one of hope, healing, and the challenging but inspiring work of building a nation from the ashes of colonial rule. On July 1, 1960, Somalia became independent, joining the former British and Italian territories. The blue flag with its five-pointed star showed the dream of a greater Somalia. The early years were full of hope, a new democracy, a lively capital, and a feeling of shared purpose. Mogadishu grew, and Somalis from all backgrounds worked to build a modern nation. But putting together different colonial legacies was hard, and border fights used up resources. Family rivalries and political instability soon challenged the young country. Despite problems, the first 10 years remain a cherished memory of unity and hope. The music, books, and spirit of that time still inspire Somalis today. This short golden age reminds us of what was possible and what many still try to get back. In 1969, Somalia's brief experiment with democracy came to a sudden end when the military seized power. General Siad Barre, a charismatic but ruthless leader, took control, promising to unite the country and lead it into a new era. Barre's government launched ambitious reforms, including a sweeping literacy campaign and the adoption of a standardized Somali script. For the first time, the Somali language was taught in schools, and people across the country learned to read and write in their own tongue. These changes brought hope and a sense of national pride. But Somalia's new direction was shaped by the global struggle between the superpowers. Barre aligned the country with the Soviet Union, turning Somalia into a key player in the Cold War's African theater. Soviet advisors and aid poured in, fueling both development and militarization. Barre's ambitions soon led Somalia into the disastrous Ogaden War against Ethiopia. The conflict devastated the Somali military and drained the economy, leaving the country weakened and isolated as the Soviets switched sides. Facing defeat and growing unrest, Barre's regime became increasingly authoritarian. The government cracked down on dissent, using propaganda and force to maintain control. Old clan divisions, once suppressed, began to resurface, fueling opposition and mistrust. Human rights abuses became widespread and the state's institutions started to crumble. As repression grew, thousands fled their homes and the country edged closer to collapse. By 1991, after years of turmoil, Siad Barre was finally forced from power. His departure left a dangerous power vacuum with no clear leadership or plan for Somalia's future. Rival rebel groups divided by clan loyalties and old grievances turned on each other. The country descended into a brutal civil war, with militias battling for control of cities and regions. The collapse of the state unleashed chaos and unimaginable suffering. Famine, violence, and displacement became daily realities for millions of Somalis, as entire neighborhoods were destroyed and families torn apart. The world watched in shock as Somalia became a symbol of disorder and humanitarian crisis. International efforts to restore peace struggled against the deep divisions and ongoing violence. Yet even in the darkest times, the resilience and determination of the Somali people shone through. Communities came together to rebuild, and hope endured amid the ruins. The fall of the Somali state in 1991 led to civil war, hunger, and international help. Rival warlords divided Mogadishu, and hunger gripped the nation. Operation Restore Hope brought world attention, but foreign help failed amid violence and difficulties. Without a government, Somalis turned to family elders, Islamic courts, and their own cleverness. Somaliland declared independence and built a stable democracy, while business people started successful businesses. Despite chaos, Somali society adapted, showing great resilience and new ideas. Today, Somalia is slowly rebuilding with a federal government and people returning from other countries. Challenges remain: safety, politics, and climate, but hope continues. The Somali story is no longer just about war, it's about survival, starting over, and the unbreakable spirit of its people.